I had no idea what aura was until I stuttered in front of one of my 5 younger siblings, and they proceeded to inform me that I had, quote, lost aura, bro. The positive of not having TikTok is that I have a kind of functioning brain most of the day. The negative, however, is that I am now the easiest target for anybody below the age of 18. So after maybe the 6th or 7th time of doing X or something and losing aura, I started to understand what it means. I actually get it now. And although it's a little internet joke, it actually does exist. And not only does it exist, but there's a way that I've started looking at it, and I wanted to share that with you today. So aura is basically like your social status. It's affected by your actions and your behaviors. So if you like trip on your lace or something, then you're going to lose aura. But if you do 5 consecutive backflips in front of girls, then you gain aura. The more aura you have, the more confident you are, hence the easier social situations become. So in this way, we can just make the conclusion that aura is the brain rot way of describing social status and somebody's potential for a social flow state. If you've just competed in a boxing match in front of an audience of like 5,000 people and you win, I think people would say you've acquired a bit of aura. You can imagine after this boxing match, in the post-match interviews or the after parties, you're gonna feel like a god. You're gonna feel like the winner of the room, because you are the winner of the room. Apart from maybe being a little bit, fatigued from the match, you're going to sort of socially flow effortlessly. Your confidence will be through the roof. You'd be very secure of your current social status, and everybody would view you as the winner. A high level of aura can be directly linked to your social confidence, your flow state, and your level of security. Now, in day-to-day life, you can't really control it, because for example, if you're walking down the street on a very windy day and a plastic bag flies in your face or something, you're going to be in the negatives, my friend. But what if I told you that although you might not be able to control the embarrassing, spontaneous things that can happen to you throughout the day, you can control your sort of overall aura, your baseline aura. A lot of how you're perceived by others in social situations actually links back to how you perceive yourself and how you feel, and I'll explain how. You're simply not going to be present every second of the day. It's so much easier to live on autopilot in most social events, which is actually probably going to be better anyway. When you're in this autopilot kind of mode, your actions, your speech, your mannerisms, your behavior, how well you articulate your words, absolutely everything are all going to be working on autopilot too. And that autopilot is going to make you act exactly how you're currently feeling and how you currently perceive yourself. Let me give you an example. Somebody who is addicted to drugs and are spending so much of their day just consuming and getting completely fucked up. How can you imagine him acting in a social situation, or even when he just goes to the shop for some milk? Remember, the conditions are that there won't be any presence involved, meaning he can't fake his confidence or anything. He's not thinking of that currently, because most of the time you won't be. You can imagine he's going to be quite shy and timid, right? Maybe he has his head down most of the journey. He's unable to, make eye contact with the cashier and smile. He perceives himself in a bad way, and he constantly feels awful because he knows that the way he lives is awful. And so his autopilot body language and behaviors act accordingly. These autopilot actions are low confidence, shy, timid, shameful actions, and hence everybody else who walks past him or sees him in the shop are only going to be able to see his actions from the outside. They're only going to be able to see the shame. So most of how others perceive you in this world actually directly links back to how you perceive yourself, because you subconsciously on autopilot act how you think that you should, if that makes sense. You act how you perceive yourself. Somebody who is disgusted in themselves are going to subconsciously act like somebody who should be disgusted, or no, that doesn't make any sense. Somebody who's disgusted in themselves are going to subconsciously act like a person who I suppose other people should be disgusted in. Unless you're like a sociopath, we tend to act in accordance to how we expect to be perceived. So what we can take from this information is we're likely to act how we think we deserve to act. And what is the biggest factor that helps us determine how we should feel about ourselves and how we should go about acting? However we act in our own time without anybody else around us. Our lifestyle, our habits, whatever we do for work, how well we look after ourselves, etc., etc. When we fully believe that we live a desirable life with good habits, good work, good health, our sort of baseline aura, meaning how confident and proud that we feel before we win the boxing fight or before we trip over our laces, is already in the positives. You start with good baseline aura, basically, because as I said, we act in accordance to how we think we deserve to act. And when we live positive lives, we act as though we have positive aura, because we basically do have positive aura. There's a question that maybe a few of you might have thought of, and that is, how come there are complete degenerates, lowlifes, losers, men who jack off 3 times a day that have better, higher, you know, baseline aura than you? That's because of one unfortunate fact. Knowledge is sometimes an unfair burden. For us young men who are on this journey of self-improvement, we're knowledgeable on the reality of what is and what isn't a bad lifestyle. We know that jacking off, watching porn, spending hours a day on PlayStation are all bad habits, simply because we're educated. Most young men don't have this kind of education. So it is absolutely possible to have weed addicted, porn addicted, clubbing every Saturday night, just complete degenerates, walk out of their house day to day and very consistently have a positive aura baseline, because our autopilot actions are based off of how we perceive ourselves. If this little lowlife sees absolutely nothing wrong with his weed consumption and, you know, his porn addiction and his laziness, he's kind of living a comfortable bliss, allowing him to flow better. If he's unaware of the fact that his actions are shameless, how can he feel shame? It's really as simple as that. It could be a few other reasons too, like copism, big egos, or faking it like we said earlier, but most of the time it will be due to unawareness. So unfortunately for us young men who are doing 10 times better on average than, you know, the other men our age in our lives, we may actually appear less confident because we're constantly self-critical. We literally just think too much. We're all very deep thinkers and we're never really satisfied. So as you've probably gathered by now, aura is just the level of self-confidence that we've earned from ourselves and other people based off of our actions in both the social light and in the dark. And so not only is this all the more reason to prioritize quitting our addictions, taming our vices and patterning up our habits, but it also means that we might have to be a little bit easier on ourselves. Now I don't mean be complacent, don't be complacent. I just mean being more aware of exactly where our position is on the leaderboard of young men. Probably around 95% of men that you walk past that are your age in the street are going to be more porn addicted than you, are going to spend 10 times more hours consuming and watching content. 95% of men your age are going to suck at conversing properly, suck at, you know, holding eye contact. They're going to be consistently gaming every single day. And even if this is you, this might be you too, because you might still be at that sort of very beginning level where you're still porn addicted and you're still playing the games every day and you still suck at conversing. But you are better in the sense that you are, one, trying to change it, and two, you're aware of it. You're actually aware that you suck at these things. My point is that if you're on this journey and you're actively trying everything that you can to become a strong, disciplined man, you already deserve a higher baseline aura than most of the people that you'll meet. So when you start to realize where you actually are in terms of progress, you know, for your age group, you'll find it much easier to stand up proud. Just like I said, don't use this to cope and be a pussy and sort of, you know, crutch on the bad habits and the vices that you haven't yet broken out of. You may be ahead of the curve, but there are also many men who are still ahead of you, and they're still your competition. If you're interested in learning the ins and outs of addiction and how to overcome these awful burdens on your aura, I'll be releasing a product within the next month or so that might actually be perfect for you. So stick around for that if you're interested.
What am I doing?
You can do whatever you want, mate. Tell them how do you get aura?
By having W-Riz.
Oh my god. Yes, this is your time to leave, my friend. Time to go. If you see him in the street, shoot him on sight. Fucking shoot him on sight. You see him in the street, just tackle him. Just take his fucking ankle. If you want 1 million aura, interact with this video. I've been Ray. Bye-bye.
Bye.